with the muting and stuff if you see someone talking?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Last week. So I don't know what's happening.
I'll see if I can't send Scott the link again.
There's Scott Andrews.
Hey guys. How y'all doing?
We're doing good.
Good. Where's everybody?
They're all on.
Oh. Hey.
Mr. Andrews, we can hear you. Can you hear everyone just fine?
I think so.
Okay, looks good. I think you guys are ready to start any time. Herman, is it okay to pull the lever?
John, can I hear you? I don't hear you, John. John, I think you're got mute on.
John is muted.
There you go, John. Or
Stay unmuted. Oh, you muted it back.
Oh my God.
Deb, how you doing?
I'm good. Oh, wait, I'm muted.
No.
Oh, I'm good.
John, you're good now too. Oh,
What about Gloria?
Wait. I can't find John or Scott, but that's
I think you're only going to see us when we speak, Gloria.
okay. I see
Pop
several
up
of you
on the
down
screen.
below.
Yeah, there's a
Yeah.
limit to how many. I think it's 3 or 4 is a limit. And then when someone speaks, you'll see them pop up as
Right.
yeah.
Okay.
yeah, I can see everybody.
You can see everyone?
Yeah. If you go up in the right-hand column, there's like a little tool up there that you can click on that has like 4 little pictures in it, and then it'll pull up everybody.
4 little pictures. I don't see that. I see chat with all. But that just unmutes it, so I'm guessing.
Is it under
Gloria,
participants?
if you're on an iPad, Gloria, it may not be the same.
Yeah.
On the iPad, I'm on the Mac Pro, so
Oh.
Just
fine.
All right.
a reminder
I think
before you start, you are live.
All right.
Yeah.
I think we're
With that, thank you all for attending this virtual meeting. Like School Corporation Board of Trustees virtually. We can't all be here tonight. We're going to dispense with the Pledge of Allegiance. We'll move right forward into our consent agenda. Are there any questions or discussion items that people need further clarification on?
Shane, we do have Mr. Adams with us this evening to answer any questions on the coaches' recommendations and things. I did want to point out a couple of retirees of some of our longtime employees. Mike Walters is retiring. He's been a custodian with us for many, many years, and he's been a fixture at the high school, and so we definitely hate losing him and wish him the best as he retires. Mike Rich, who is our athletic custodian, is retiring. He's been with us just, I think, the past since I've been here, and has done a great job, and was a great addition to our custodial staff, and so we hate to lose him. The other one too, and this is not a retirement, but Jackie Kelly is resigning, and the reason for that is she is expecting a baby, and so we're very excited about that. She's wanting to stay at home with her baby, but that will be a big miss at Roosevelt Middle School because she does a great job for our PE program over there. So just wanted to point out those few retirements and resignations that we had. So
One of the coaches for the high school, I received calls just today. Kent, let me say this, that have all the confidence in you and in Missy that you're choosing the best candidate, and second chances are always good for everyone. I would, I'm putting all my faith in you with this one. So I do have concerns because they've been addressed, but I do have more faith in you than concerns with the concerns, if that makes any sense. Were you able to hear me?
Yes, I could hear you fine. And I'm assuming you're talking about Shirley?
Yes. Mhm.
Right. Yeah.
We all make mistakes, but I think it's very important for us to err on the side of not blaming others, but taking responsibility for the actions that happened, to move on and make sure it never happens again.
Okay.
Are you with
Yes.
me there? Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And I just have faith in you, Kent, that you and Missy will make sure that things will go accordingly. Not that you need one more thing to do.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Hey, Kent, it's Scott. I hope you're doing well and staying healthy. Hey, so any thoughts or anything else we need to be thinking about when it comes to the situation at North White and why that didn't go well? Do you feel like you've got that? You understand the scenario on that and can take care of any of those concerns?
Yes, I can. I understand the passion that, the person we're recommending has for the position, and kind of stepped over some bounds without checking things out first, and made some mistakes in terms of, allowing certain people to be a part of their program when they were not, number one, old enough, and then number two, they were too old. They were out of the program. So, we've never really had that issue with anyone and any of our coaches. And she's coached for us before in the past at the middle school level, and when we addressed that, and she's actually the one who brought it up in our meeting. We said that, hey, there's guidelines and there's restrictions that we're going to follow and that we always have. And she was obviously, I know that now, and I know that I can't do those things. And then the third thing regarding the concussion, that again, I just think there was a misunderstanding, and on about who was trying to do what, and what was allowed and what was not allowed. And we told her that none of our coaches make those decisions on any individual. It's all up to the trainer and our team physician and the personal physician of all the of any of our student athletes that they go through. So I mean, those are decisions that are out of our hands, and that's something that is not going to be even a factor, I believe, in how we handle things here.
Okay, so it's mainly a training issue. Can resolve a lot of that then.
Yes, yeah, absolutely, yeah. And I was, I called references over there, and even ones that weren't references, and talked to people about how that, and they were just sorry that it happened that way, but they had to make that decision. But they had all sorts of respect and admiration for the individual to to do a great job and be positive in that position. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Can you share with the board the training that our coaches go through for concussion protocol and those other kinds of things, just so that the board's aware of that?
Yeah, it's actually a requirement by the state, IHSA, and then also the government, Indiana government, makes us are required to take 3 coaching courses at the high school level: concussion in sports, heat illness, and then sudden cardiac arrest. And those are on a 2-year cycle. And again, they outline how things are being handled, and what what to look for, and what the follow-up things are. And then we also mention those every year at our coaches meeting for each season with the coaches, and outline the plan of action, and if there is a problem, and how to handle that. We are getting a new trainer this year. Her name is Bailey Feekings. She's worked for Franciscan for a couple 3 years, I believe. Lives over near Rensselaer, and she'll be coming to Twin Lakes, just like Zach Cowell did for the last 3 years. And I have confidence in her, and I think she's been trained well, and has worked lots of places before to be able to do a good job there.
And you keep those. I know you showed me the web site that you keep all that information on, that you can pull up, and everyone has to receive that training before they can work with any kids, correct?
Right. Yeah. We check that out, and it's online. It's actually a website that you can just reference very, very easily.
Okay.
Okay, thanks, Ken. I appreciate it.
Mhm.
You're welcome.
Shane, since we didn't have our working session, I was just kind of going to go through a few things on the consent agenda. Underneath facilities, the Train 2020 agreement, that's an annual contract that we have with Train. We renew that annually with them to come in and service our equipment, get them up and going. Underneath the reoccurring items for action, the consideration of the 2021 budget calendar. This is something we do on an annual basis. We base this upon the DLGF at the state level, the calendar that they send out. And so we then look at those dates and plug in our calendar to kind of see, to make sure that we're meeting their dates of when we're required to have our budget prepared. You also had the handbooks from the elementary school and the middle school. You also had consideration of student textbook rental fees. I know Miss Metzger has been working on that with the elementary, middle school, and high school. You also had the school calendars, and I did want to point out, because we had some conversation about the e-learning days on that calendar, and what we have decided to do with that. Let me flip to that. Is we have moved the high school back with the elementary and the middle school on the parent-teacher conferences. Those will take place on the 14th and the 15th. The high school felt like they only needed 1 day for their conferences. So on the 15th, they will be doing professional development in the afternoon. We will not have the e-learning day on that Friday before fall break. So mainly those two parent-teacher conference days, all we're going to do is dismiss at 1 o'clock. So they won't be e-learning days. We'll just have an early dismissal to give the teachers a little bit of additional time for those conferences and to prepare for those. So that is the only changes that we made to the calendar for 2020 and 2021. And then we just took those corresponding dates and rolled them over to 2021, 2022. So once again, there'll be 2 parent-teacher conference days. Both those days will be a dismissal at 1 o'clock. The first day will be elementary, middle school, and high school all having parent-teacher conferences. The second day will only be the elementary and the middle school. High school will be doing a professional development day. And then that Friday we will be in session, and then the following week will be fall vacation. And that was with TLCTO's input on that. So that was kind of the agreement that we came to.
Those days we dismiss at 1 are still counted as full school days, though, correct?
Correct. They're counted as full
Okay.
school days. Yeah.
Okay.
Then
And
we
then we
also,
will,
oh, go ahead, Gloria.
I'm sorry, I don't have the calendar in front of me. I have the agenda. So then that Thursday, we have a half a day, and then Friday we have a half a day?
No. So Friday would be a full day. It would only be the Wednesday and Thursday that
Okay.
you would be dismissing at 1 o'clock.
Okay, that makes sense. And then we come back for a full day.
Full
and then
day
we
on
have
Friday.
fall break. Yeah, that
Yep.
makes, okay.
Are we placing the calendar in the joint agreement today?
Clarify that a little bit, Maury. I don't understand your question.
We're voting on calendar this evening.
Yes. Yeah.
Is it going to be separate by itself? Is it going to stand alone, or are we putting it in?
It's in a consent agenda, but we can always pull that out as a
That's
separate.
what I want to know. Okay.
Yep. Yep.
Or would you care to have either of the calendars considered as?
Pardon me?
Would you care to have either calendar considered as a separate item?
I can't hear. Is that Shane?
Asking, do you want to have those calendars considered as a separate item?
It doesn't really matter. I'm going to vote no either way.
Okay. All right. Then we have the request for bids on bus replacement purchase. So this is just permission for us to go out and seek bids for the bus replacement. Then we also have requests for bids on milk and dairy products. And then you also notice in there that we had a consideration of 2020 summer school. As you are aware, schools are closed until June 30th. And our summer school is usually during the month of June. So that will be online. And as the principals all discussed it, we felt like that the really only classes that we needed were at the high school, and that was credit recovery. We put in their choir and high school choir and high school band, which will be in July. But we'll kind of see how things go between now and then on whether we will even have those classes or not because of COVID-19. So,
Michael, does that impact the special education for summer school at all? Your special education students?
if a student is receiving special education services, normally during the summer, like extended services, they would still receive those. We still have to provide those.
Okay. And everything.
That's kind of an IEP situation, though.
Okay.
Maury,
Yes.
would you be willing to share why you're voting no on the calendar?
I don't like the way the calendar's set up. It's not balanced. It's heavy on the spring season. I just don't agree with that. It should be more balanced. It's lopsided. In other words, the days that students attend in the fall versus how many days they attend in the spring. It's just not a balanced calendar. And I think we can balance it better than it is. And I've always voted no against it.
Should we revisit it then and perhaps, I mean,
Some
how
of the-
is it?
Some of the reason why we do that, Maury, is because we have testing in the spring, which consumes a lot of time, instructional time. We also will usually have our snow days in the spring. So that's some of the reason why. But I know we talk about that every year of trying to balance that out. But that's some of the reason why that is that way. So yeah.
I understand. But with e-learning now, I can see that being very balanced. And I'm not a big fan of a week for fall break. I just think that's just too long. I'm not against having a fall break. I'm just against having a week of fall break.
Maury, I have to agree with you. You just cut up that fall. It doesn't seem like there's any length or endurance of time, enduring time that you can really teach and learn. It seems like you teach, you learn, and then you're cut off again, and you're cut off. And we had that with Thanksgiving and a short fall break. So I tend to agree with you there. I don't think it's a good learning strategy for kids, but.
The interesting thing is we talked to teachers, and a lot of them said that they kind of agreed with what both of you were saying. They didn't think it was a good use of time, but then they also shared once we got to that time, they really enjoyed it, and they really think that they felt like they had helped the kids coming back to focus some. So.
Is that, Michael, helping you a little bit? Is this a trend that we're seeing a lot more? Because it sounds like I'm hearing this from a lot of other corporations.
Yeah, a lot of corporations around us have gone to the week-long fall break. So I believe to my knowledge, every other district in the county has also gone to the week-long fall break.
Okay.
With this discussion in mind, there's no discussion at this moment.
I can't hear you.
Shane, your mic's not working worth a crap.
Yeah, you got to chalk up or turn it up or something.
I will try speaking up. Is that any better?
That's it.
Okay. Given the discussion on the calendars, I would ask for a motion to approve the consent agenda minus item 4A and 4B, which is the 2021 calendar revision and the 21-22 school calendar, and we'll address those items separately. Anyone care to make that motion?
I so move.
I'll second it.
Gloria? Thank you, Scott. Moved and seconded that we approve the consent agenda minus items 4A and B, the 20 school calendars. Is there any further discussion? I will call the roll for your vote. Mr. Godlip.
Aye.
Mr. Roscoe. John, you're still on. There we go. Okay. I think that is an aye. Mr. Milligan.
Aye.
Ms. Kennard.
Aye.
Mr. Hannah votes aye. Mr. Weymouth.
Nay.
Mr. Andrews.
Aye.
Okay. Motion carries 6-1. Now entertain a motion about the school calendars. Pleases the board, we can take the 2021 revision and the 21-22 calendar together.
I'll make that motion.
Scott, is there a second?
I can't. What is the motion here, Shane?
The motion on the table is that we will consider the approval of the 2021 school calendar revision and the 21-22 school calendar. Separate item.
Is anyone else having difficulty hearing Shane?
Yes.
I'm going to unplug my mic and we'll see how that goes.
It improved when you went away, whatever you did before. I can hear you now pretty well.
Okay. Maury, the issue on the table currently is the 2021 school calendar revision and the 21-22 school calendar. Are you hearing me correctly?
Okay.
Okay. I have a motion from Mr. Andrews, but I do not have a second. Thank you, John.
I second.
Been properly moved and seconded that we approve the 2021 school calendar revision and the 21-22 school calendar. I will call the roll for your votes. Mr. Godlove. One more time, Mike.
Aye.
Aye. Mr. Roscoe. Thumbs up, John. Okay. Mr. Milligan.
Nay.
Ms. Kennard.
Nay.
Mr. Hannah votes nay. Mr. Weymouth.
Nay.
Mr. Andrews.
Aye.
Motion fails 3-4. That is the end of the consent agenda items and allows us to move on to business.
So can I get some clarification from the board of what we would like to see changed on those calendars so that I can go back, because that'll have to be discussed with the TLCTO.
Sure. Mr. Weymouth, I think you expressed your opinions. Do you have anything you'd care to?
I think I'm self-sufficient. I think I'm good.
But hey, Maury, how are you thinking about solving that problem? Starting school earlier?
No,
No.
eliminating, reducing the length of fall break.
That
Do
would
a
solve-
Friday, Monday. Do a
that would-
Friday, Monday, something of that nature, or a Monday, Tuesday. Just not 5 days. Just reduce it to 2 days and a weekend.
And that would balance out the spring, fall for you?
Well, it'd bring it closer.
Is that something that we can have a discussion on? Or is this something that needs to be decided tonight?
No, it doesn't need to be decided tonight because it has to go back to TLCTO for discussion. So that's why I needed to know kind of what you guys wanted to see changed, and then I will go back to the TLCTO for discussion with them.
Okay. We can have the discussion here. Gloria, I think you're on mute, but you're trying to.
Okay.
There you
Mr.
go.
Go.
I have a question for Mr. Adams. How does this affect your sport schedule? Is this a good time for coaches? Is this an in-between time for coaches?
Depends on if the sport is still in season, if the tournament's still going.
Mhm.
It's terrible for football. It really is, because there seems like they're the only ones that are around on campus and at school, and there's no continuity, no sameness. A lot of times cross country will still be participating, but that's a handful of kids, and then also the volleyball sectional is usually during this week.
Okay.
But both soccer seasons, golf, tennis are usually over by then. But it's always been tough because they're around and doing their thing, and it's just different.
Kent, do you know how the other school corporations are handling this?
As far as
When they're not going to a week for fall break with sports?
Well, the same way we do. I mean, the football team, the kids stay in practice. I mean, they don't get a break. The coaches are, they're around, and they have their weekly preparation to go through. So it's tough. It's not ideal for that group anyway.
Okay. So if we loaded the vacation time in the beginning of the week or the end of the week, it wouldn't make any difference, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Okay. Just questioning.
The other thing too that Scott kind of alluded to earlier is a lot of the corporations around us have gone to the week-long fall break. And we have a lot of students that come in from Frontier, North White, Delphi, and participates in our CTE classes. And so this was some of the concern that those superintendents expressed, is that those kids are missing the instruction or else they're having to come to class on their breaks for their corporations. So that was the other reason why we began this discussion last year, was because other superintendents had asked about us considering the week-long fall break, kind of aligning with the other White County school corporations.
I just looked up North White, and their fall break is on Friday the 22nd and Monday the 25th, just as a reference point.
Yeah, they're the only ones who've not moved yet to the week-long fall break.
LSC is full week. TSC is 3 days, right? 2 days. I don't know. I'm gonna double check what West Lafayette's doing.
I think we are experiencing some of the problems of not being able to have a working session this month. Rather than continue to debate this via Zoom, I might recommend at this time, motion failed this evening. I would ask the board members who have their opposition to email or phone call Mr. Galvin. Email might be the best so that he has a written record so that he can discuss it with CTO. Folks that were in favor, I think it might be appropriate for you to also itemize why you were in favor. And there's no reason to think that this can't be resolved, but I'm not sure that this format, especially on live YouTube broadcast, is the most appropriate place to continue the discussion. So if it pleases the board, I'll ask each of us to reach out to Mr. Galvin with our proposed alternatives or support for the existing schedule as it was presented this evening. And we will move on to next business unless there is anything else. Hearing none.
Okay.
Move on to old business. Update on security camera, please.
So a few of these have kind of taken a back seat because of the COVID-19. I will tell you that wireless technologies have been working in the schools, installing the cameras. So those are actually in the process of being installed right now from wireless technologies. I have not heard anything from about the MOU for law enforcement from John. I know he was having an issue of trying to find one out there for that. Corporation Safety Plan, that is a committee that currently is dealing with COVID-19. So we've not been able to meet to handle that. So that's pretty well all the old business we have. We're ready for new business. Those are questions.
Questions on old business?
I think John has a question. Gordon, can you unmute him? There you go, John. You're ready.
Is that going?
Yep, you're good.
What about Jason Lingenfelder? Is he signed off on the cameras for the high school?
No, we've sent that to him and we've not received that back from him yet.
Thank you.
Okay.
What's the big picture plan, do you think, Michael? Ready by fall?
Yes, that is our goal, to have it ready by fall. And so like what John was just saying, the June board meeting will bring the full package that Jason did with the principals and Dave Hadley on the walkthroughs for all the schools. Those additional cameras, we'll bring that to the June board meeting for your consideration. And then the wire's already been run and everything. So we're ready to go. Well, all they would have to do is just install those cameras. So we plan to be ready by August or whenever we start next year.
And the cameras are being placed where Jason and the principals went through?
Yes.
On the new plan?
Yep.
Thank you.
Jason and Dave Hadley walked through the buildings with the principals and made sure they were where they wanted them to be at. So. Okay.
New business?
Okay, new business. Deb, you want to talk a little bit about the language arts and foreign language textbook adoption?
Yeah, the Language Arts Committee selected for grades 9 through 12. They're going with a digital platform, Actively Learn and Newsella. They will be both software packages will be used for grades 9 through 12. They also will utilize some of the textbooks that they already have currently in use. Mia Hawthorne, Dr. Hawthorne, currently with her AP classes, really didn't have a text. So I'm glad to see that she has selected 2 texts. The publisher is a good selection for that AP course. So she feels her students are going to be much more prepared for that. That is also a digital platform, but she'll also have a set of 25 books in her classroom. This is kind of the trend of the high school, getting a classroom set and then going digital. Special education, they also have selected a different platform to use. They're going to be using Perfection Learning. And that will be a textbook for those students and a workbook that they can, a consumable workbook that they'll be using for that. And that will be grades 11 and 12 for that. Our foreign language department, again, they went with a digital platform and also have 25 textbooks in their classes for students to check out. They're doing Vista Higher Learning for not only AP classes, but for grades 9 through 11, we'll also be doing that. And the French department, it wasn't a big contest with only one teacher, but he decided on Carnegie Publishing, and he went with grades 9 through 12, digital platform again, with a classroom set of books. When we look at with the textbook fees, there was not, I think the largest increase was $3. So it stayed relatively the same and not additional cost to our parents. Does anybody have any questions over that?
Thank you.
With the digital, that will help us with our e-learning also. Do you see that as a positive for that?
Yes. That will be accessed. They can access from home with all of that. All their assignments are online as well, so they can turn all their assignments in, which they don't currently have. So that will be very beneficial to those teachers.
Good, good. And they have videos and things that they can listen to if they don't understand.
Yes.
Okay, great. Sounds good.
And that'll also save on paper, I would assume, not having to turn papers in.
With e-learning, definitely, it will all be sent electronically to the teacher. So definitely won't have to worry about any of that. Currently, they kind of have to use Google Slides and Google Docs for that. So this will cut down on, actually, it will save them a lot of time when it comes to grading, getting things turned in, both in the language and foreign language and the English language department as well. So they're looking forward to, they're already asking me if they can order it. So they're pretty excited about it.
Hey, Deb, do you have a feel for the number or percentage of the population that don't have internet?
I don't have those current numbers, especially at the high school level. I do not know. I don't know. You would have to ask the high school principals on that. High school principals, if you're listening, if you want to send me a text, I'll relay that information.
Are we getting many families that are saying they can't get work done, or do you feel like that's pretty small?
I'm hearing in our current format of e-learning complaints about slow internet being a challenge for meetings like this one, but for traditional homework turned in, whether it's text or slides or traditional Google Docs, even reasonably slow internet seems to be capable of handling that. So I think this is one nice situation where if you've got even rural internet or really slow internet, you're still capable of participating, whereas you might not be able to with Webex or Zoom or things of that nature.
Well, I know in the previous, plan B was to get a lot of these families would get to the library or something, but this was with the COVID, this is a real unusual scenario where they didn't have access to those kind of places.
Casey just sent a text, Mrs. Davenport, and said that she only has 12 students that aren't capable of accessing, it looks like 12 students on paper packet. So we're talking about East Lawn. So I think that's pretty good. I think especially since it's been such a long period of time where we've had e-learning, a lot of parents have adjusted, which thank you, parents. And we're able to get online. So I think that's improved greatly from years past.
And evidently, Deb, they can go to the parking lots around the schools and access the school.
Also, the city park has a connection as well.
Okay.
And yes, any of our parking lots, they can get on the guest Wi-Fi and complete work.
It must have been somehow advertised that way, because I had a friend who was walking and they did actually see a family of 4 in their car doing their e-learning. So that's a positive.
Yes. We push that out on Facebook.
Okay.
And a lot of Parks Department also advertise that in a lot of areas. Actually, businesses also push that out. And Marcus also provided a link where it had some places around town that provided free access to wireless. So we've been trying to get the word out. Missy has texted and said 5% or less of the high school students do not have internet access. And Mrs. Brooks says less than 50 at the Roosevelt do not have access. So that kind of gives you a snapshot.
Was that less than 50? Did you say, or 15?
Yes, Danielle says that's about 10% are on paper packets at Roosevelt.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah.
Has there been any research into, I was aware at one time that Comcast offers for $10 a month internet services if you have certain thresholds for income, and I think if you didn't already owe Comcast money, and I don't know if we've approached, or if anybody has approached Lightstream, because those people that are in the city limits, if there would be anything that they would be willing to do. That's a local cooperative out of Buffalo, and maybe if we could look to those resources to help people figure out how to do those things, to get access at a very low cost. Does anybody think that might help, or how might we do that?
I think anything that we consider like that would be a benefit, especially since we don't know what next fall is going to bring.
Yeah.
The problem with Comcast is if you have a current account with them, they will not allow you to get that internet access. So even if you've had an account in the past, it's hard to get an account with a reduced price. But it's
not always the easiest to work with. If you don't mind, I'd like to go ahead and I'll contact Lightstream and talk to their CEO and see if there would be any offering that they could come up with. I'm sure they'd have to get it approved through their board and stuff, but they are a cooperative, and they generally want to work with communities. So I'll check that out if that's okay.
You've probably also heard something along the lines of the WIN initiative, and this is getting broadband to remote areas of the country. And they have been working in the area with Lafayette, Tippecanoe County, as well as White County, and some of the other counties in the area, of trying to bring broadband into this area. So they definitely understand that it's a difficulty in some of our areas outside of the city of getting that internet out there to them. Gloria, you muted yourself.
I muted myself. Mike, you might even want to talk to Gordon about that. Now with this virus and everything that's going on, the government is trying to get more internet out there. And I know the principals have been working all hours to do what they can to help these students. So any way we can help and be a support that way, But this may not be over in August, so.
Right.
We could look, we could be looking at more e-learning days.
And our E-rate
Want-
funds the Wi-Fi within our buildings. So like what Mike is talking about, we can, and what you're kind of referring to, Gloria, we can be a support, but that's kind of outside of us as far as us getting that internet and those kinds of things.
Oh, we wouldn't be doing, but at least we could find
Right.
out for our families, our resource.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mike, Galvin,
Yes.
for Mike Godlove, Lightstream won't reach Idaville or Burnettsville. So that's just something else to take into consideration when he contacts Lightstream.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm aware that they're currently just in the Monticello area, but
Yeah, they're limited. Yeah. But it's a shot.
yeah,
Yep.
I'll contact them.
All right. I think the next item I have is consideration of spring ECA stipends.
Do we get a motion and pass that?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. A little sidetracked there. We have the recommendation for the language arts and foreign language textbooks adoption as presented to you tonight.
So moved.
So moved.
Thank you, John. Maury, would you care to second?
Second.
Sir? Properly moved and seconded that we adopt the textbooks as presented to us this evening. Mr. Godlove?
Aye.
Mr. Roscoe?
Aye.
Mr. Milligan?
Aye.
Ms. Kennard?
You're muted.
Muted again?
Yes.
Yep, there you go.
I'm going to read her lips and call that an aye. Mr. Hannah votes aye. Mr. Weymouth?
Aye.
Mr. Andrews?
Aye.
Motion carries 7-0. Spring ECA stipends.
So next up on the agenda this evening is the spring ECA stipends, and this is for our extracurricular coaches during the spring of the year. This amounts to about $55,000 is the estimated payout as a corporation. Why to bring this to you is because we really wrestled with this of whether we should pay it, should not pay it, because these activities weren't completed this spring. But in talking to my colleagues in our counties around us and our corporations around us, they've decided to pay these stipends. And mainly they've done it because these are difficult positions or people to find. They feel like they're community members and kind of a good faith and to build a positive culture. That's why they're doing it. So we have to get your approval to pay these, because since they did not perform any duties, it would be a benefit to them. But I wanted to bring that forward to you this evening for your consideration.
May I comment at this time? I disagree with you that they did not have any duties. They actually did. Most of those coaches were working with their teams or with partial teams in January and February leading into conditioning, so before their sports even started. So I got to believe that their seasons actually started before the first game, before the first pitch.
Thank you, Mark, for that clarification. And I apologize for that, because they did do a lot of conditioning in January and February for those kids who weren't participating in other sports.
Yes.
I think one of the goals we've had for a while is when we talk about culture and we talk about trying to help everybody we can in the community, I think alleviating some financial concerns for these individuals makes a lot of sense to me. So I've been in support of this. I think makes sense.
All right, you've heard the recommendation. If there's no further discussion, I would entertain a motion that we pay the ECA stipends.
So moved.
Second.
I'll second it if somebody else did.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I have Maury and Mr. Godlove. Mr. Godlove?
I vote in the affirmative.
Mr. Roscoe. Okay. Mr. Milligan.
Tell me how this is working.
That's great, actually.
Excellent, Jeff. Excellent.
Let's see.
That's pretty analog of you, Jeff. I'm going to have to ask you to up your technology adoption game. Ms. Kennard.
Aye.
Thank you.
Oh, got the mood.
Mr. Hannah votes aye. Mr. Weymouth.
Aye.
Mr. Andrews.
Aye.
Motion carries 7-0. Thank you to our coaches. Okay. Next item I have would be any update or discussion on COVID-19.
So just kind of wanted to let everybody know that we are wrapping up our last 2 weeks of e-learning. Our last day will actually be next Thursday, and talking to our teachers and some of our students' families, I think everybody's looking forward to next week. This has been very taxing on our teachers as well as our students and their families. But I have to give them kudos. They have done a phenomenal job, and our teachers have just blown us away with what they've been doing on their lessons and things. And so I truly appreciate all the work that they've done. I don't know if you saw my teacher appreciation video last week, but I just tried to convey to our teachers and our staff of how much I appreciate all the work that they've done. We have received and are in the process of writing the grant for the CARES Act, and so we'll begin working through that process. We've been watching FEMA videos, and we're tracking what kinds of things that we can submit for that. As you may be aware, the city and the county's executive order is ending tomorrow night. And so we will begin opening buildings up for our principals, our office staff, and our central office staff and custodians next Monday on the 18th. There will be lots of memos that will be going out directing staff on requirements to meet the social distancing guidelines from the governor. There'll also be signs posted around the building. There'll be hand sanitizer available to our employees. We'll have PPEs. So a lot of things will be in place as we begin this process of coming back.
Galvin,
Yes.
if I might interrupt, I think we need to send a big, huge kudos out to our food service people, Pat and Jen Craig, and everybody that's helped with the food distribution. I mean, it's been phenomenal. I know we get a lot of praise, but a big, huge kudos for all those people.
Yeah, they've been our unsung heroes in this whole situation too. And thank you, John. You beat me to it. So, but I do appreciate those ladies. They've put long hours in. As you know, 1 week there we had 16,000 kids that we provided meals for, which was 32,000 meals. And so that was a lot. And we're seeing that number drop. And I think some of that is because families are going back to work and they're not needing that support anymore. We served just over 900 students this past Monday. So the administrative team is beginning to work on plans for next school year. As you guys have kind of alluded to tonight, we don't know what that's going to look like. The Department of Education has also put together a team that will be providing some guidance to us as well. We just don't know how this is going to roll out and what's going to happen. So we're looking at several different things. We're looking at preparing our teachers for the possibility of e-learning continuing next year and us not coming back in August. So we want to give them some more tools this summer, provide them with some professional development. We'll be working with, Deb's actually heading up our academic team. So we'll be looking at that to kind of see, is there any additional software that we need to strengthen how our teachers are delivering the instruction. We have other teams that are dealing with workplace safety, of how to handle those kinds of things. Our nurses are going to be invited in to participate in those discussions as well. I'm not prepared tonight to say anything on graduation. Missy and her team is working through that process. I can assure you that we are also talking to Mayor Gross, Chief Lingenfelter, and the White County Health Department on that plan to make sure that we are following all the guidelines and making sure that everyone is protected in that plan. So I will be emailing you that plan before we announce that to the public so that you're aware of that. Do you have any questions or anything about the COVID-19? Gloria, you muted yourself.
Muted myself. I'd like to reiterate what John said, and I'd also, the teachers, I mean, I know that there are glitches and I know there's frustration with e-learning, but we were further ahead than many in this. I really believe that. I have grandchildren in Minnesota who go to a very affluent school corporation, and they were not prepared. And they're not getting the Zoom, they're not getting the classroom participation. The teachers doing what they're doing, and the kudos to our principals for going out to those senior homes, for the seniors, the student seniors, not the senior homes, but and then also to our principals who are going out to their teachers' homes and doing things for teacher appreciation. They're going above and beyond, and when you talk about culture, it takes everyone, and they really deserve kudos. They're really going above and beyond. So very proud of them.
Any other questions about COVID-19? Okay. Moving along, corporation role responsibilities, please.
So those items, quite honestly, have just taken a back seat because of the COVID-19. The Woodlawn Community Center, we're still in discussion on what's going to be done with that. So with the being locked up, we've not been able to talk about that either. And the school safety tabletop scenario, I doubt that will happen in June, just because all of our EMA and first responders right now are dealing with the COVID-19. So we'll get probably a new date on that after these things settle down a little bit. So,
Mike, I'd like to ask a question about graduation. Is there a preliminary plan? Is it inside? Is it outside?
Jeff, I really don't want to share anything because Facebook will go nuts if I share anything specific. So I can tell you this. We met with the senior officers, and they were very excited about the plan that they heard, because their expectation was what happened when the tornado came through back in the 70s, and that graduating class got their diplomas in the mail. So we are not doing that. So, but I can't really go into specifics at this point in time, because we want to roll out the entire plan at one time so that everybody understands it.
All right.
I believe in the 70s, didn't they graduate from North White instead of Twin Lakes? North White offered their facilities to us.
I'm not sure. I was just what I heard, John, that they got their diplomas in the mail.
I'm pretty sure that maybe our graduation happened at North White, but I could be wrong on that.
I'm sure we'll get somebody that will email us.
I think the appropriate YouTube phase is comment in the link below.
But we want to do something special for them. I will tell you that much, Jeff. And it will be something that will be special and will recognize them.
That is the end of the items I have on the agenda. Is there any other items, Mr. Galvin, or from you, Ms. Metzger, that you'd like to bring before the board?
One question I might ask.
Sure.
With the selling of Indiana Beach, has anybody from Indiana Beach officials contacted the school corporations on anything?
Not yet, John. We've not heard anything from Indiana Beach.
Thank you.
Other questions?
John, that's a good question, because we've always been contacted about our calendar. Sorry, that's not my dog. That's my text.
I thought it was your husband.
No.
He was barking
Anyway,
for some ice cream.
Yeah, well, ice cream, I'll go for that. But we've always been contacted because our calendar, and again, we're talking calendar now, and as we're talking COVID-19, we have no idea what the governor's going to say to us. Were we going to push it back till after Labor Day? That could change everything. So
I know always in years past that they've always contacted us about our calendar.
Right, they have. And we've always
Maybe-
waited until after the 15th, but
Keep
that
it
doesn't coincide with the other calendars in the area. So I don't know what that'll look like.
Gentlemen,
Mr. Galvin, have we heard anything from the state level in terms of funding? I know, with the sales tax being way down and with, I think, the delay in the property tax revenues, is there anything coming out of Indianapolis relative to whether or not we're going to continue to receive our funding?
So Dr. McCormick has shared that the 2020 funding for the rest of this year will remain where it's supposed to be. What we're hearing for 2021 is that mainly it's going to be flatlined. At this, that's pretty well what we've heard to this point. We've not heard anything more on that. I think they're really wanting to see what the revenue is going to do and go from there. As I shared in your, or we'll be sharing in this week's newsletter, the operations fund, as you alluded to, Mike, is based upon property tax. We'll have a payment coming the end of June. There has been from both treasurers in both counties the possibility that that may be less than what is expected, what we normally expect, because of the property taxes being able to be paid later. And what we can do with that is that we can ask for an additional allotment in August or some other month prior to the December payment to maybe get those caught up. And so what Mrs. Campbell and I will do is we'll look at what the payment actually is in June. We'll see how that compares to previous years. If we're significantly down, then we'll go back and we'll try to collect those revenues that come in later, maybe into the end of July or the end of August.
Okay.
Maybe the state will figure out that we don't need to do all those standardized tests, and that could be a nice little money saver.
There you go. We did cut, the principals and I did cut, and I think I've shared in your newsletters about 1.2 million out of the operations fund in appropriations. And so that money will not be transferred from education fund over to the operations fund to kind of protect that money in the education fund. So we did do that right before this all happened, and we kind of confirmed some things then.
I hope somebody turned the thermostat down before you guys left.
We did. We did.
All right. Do you need a motion to adjourn, Shane?
Well, I might first ask if anyone else has any other items to bring before the board, Jeff, but yes.
I'll second his motion.
That one.
Second.
Hearing none, I believe we have a motion to adjourn the meeting from Mr. Milligan.
Second.
Mr. Rosca. I'm going to take this one verbally. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Same. Motion carries 7-0. If you like what you see, please be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe. See you in the next video.
Thank you all. Stay safe, stay healthy.
Same to you.
Thank you.